Ugh. There they are, awaiting for us to fix them. Apparently we've been really bored at home, so we decided to take on a new special project. This project is right up our alley. We love just walking around the neighborhood and stopping at a yard sale or an estate sale or even just some free stuff on the side of the road. Luckily this time we actually found something that we were actually looking for, and that was these deep-seated wooden chairs for the backyard. My boyfriend's been finding a new hobby in woodworking, so we thought this could be a cute little mashup project. He's gonna help fix up the chairs, get them all spruced up, and I'm going to take on the mission of making new cushions. Now, to really come to an understanding about how long these cushions took me, please count the amount of manicures you see in this video. Thank you so much. Please validate me. Thank you. First thing is trying to figure out what my pattern pieces are going to look like. So one positive here was that I had the original cushions that I could use as for my pattern pieces, and I decided let's just cut them up, although I should have been a little bit more precise at this moment, and I was not. You'll find out later. One thing I did know going into this project is I wanted these cushions to be striped, and I also knew that I wanted them to be matching. Then it was time to hit Joann's. Sadly at this time, Joann's had just announced it was closing, and you know, as much as that was sad news, I thought, well, maybe I should go check it out to see if they have any cushion fabric. Now, I could have gotten a much better deal on this, came back at this now, because at the time, everything was only 25% off, so I didn't really save that much. That's kind of the same saving. In retrospect, maybe not the best deal. I just love getting to get my ideas out in physical form. Really helps my brain process what we're getting into. I like to visualize before starting something, and I'm glad I did this because it was a really good reference when I was trying to figure out how to match all my stripes. It just gave me a really good visual for everything. So I needed to really be precise with the amount of yardage that I needed so that I can make sure I had enough to do a placement stripe. Now, in theory, this is the most precise I've ever been. In actuality, that is not correct.
Is 6.5. And then I need 2 of the width and 2 of the length.
I hate that. Oh, I know why. It's because of the 2 different sides. So 26.5 times 2.
So that'll be 4 pieces total. Actually, that's a lie. I need it for just 2 separate, so I need 4 of each.
Yes, don't ask questions, just do the math. So 48 plus.
Seems complicated.
We figured out the math. Now we're cutting. The math has been mathed, and now we shall cut. 8 more pieces. Ugh. I hate cutting. I really do.
Today's cutting plans.
I'll be just fine, pretending I'm not.
Okay, my other issue here is that this isn't even.
I can confirm that that was as painstaking to watch as it was to understand what I was doing. I hate math. No, I think the worst thing about doing a sewing project ever is trying to figure out the math. Because I was measuring the cut cushion covers, I think that I had a difficult time figuring out what the measurements were. And then I realized that the top cushion was beveled. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically the top of the cushion versus the bottom of the cushion was a 1-inch difference. That completely went over my head. So I completely missed that, so I'm a little bummed. It added a nice little lift to the back, but it's okay. Next time. I really was just trying to focus on making sure all of my stripes matched up, and that was my first priority. Now, what made this project my own personal hell was this piping. I thought it was a brilliant idea that I was gonna make my piping myself because I'm an overachiever, and then I should have just bought it, if I'm being honest. But the problem was is I couldn't find any binding that was outdoor fabric proof or whatever. It's probably the best option for like sun resistance, you know? Getting into the sewing part. So because this is a plain weave fabric, it will continue to fray endlessly. So I decided best to just start off by serging all of the edges on every single piece. This took me approximately 2 days to do and about 5 hours each day, give or take. I do think this was a necessary step because it just made me feel like I started off the project correctly. Remember, I'm winging it, okay? But I did feel like I completed a step once I was done with this. Number 2. I feel like this is a good tip if you have a serger. When I'm doing a lot of repetitive serging, gorgeous, I like to just continue on each piece. I'll finish serging one side and then I kind of let the tail get a little long, and then I'm able to take out the piece and pivot it to go the other direction, and it kind of just helps you go around corners without having to cut every single time. This is the current state of the chairs. They need some love. They need a good sanding. My boyfriend is prepared with many hand sanders to accomplish his goal. Now, did I do any of this? Absolutely not. Would I have? I had my hands full with the cushions. I do know that the hand sanding took a good couple days because he was really getting in there. If you're interested, he is also making his own video on this. This project was a lot of me talking myself through it, since a lot of it was so repetitive and boring, which is the opposite of what I want in my sewing projects. Now time for my arch nemesis, piping, my arch nemesis of this project. Here we are prepping her. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm folding the binding in half, and then I'm taking the cording and sandwiching it in between the binding that I'm folding in half, and then I'm just pinning it so that I can get to the sewing machine and do a basting stitch. I guess half this project could be summarized with how many times I made this binding. Ooh. That's looking pretty good. I did find some tips along the way. Like, at first I was doing a regular stitch, and then I decided, why am I doing this? I'm going to be sewing this onto the cushion, and then it's going to be sewed again. So I would just suggest to just do a basting stitch on all this. And I used a zipper foot. Another chair check-in. There was lots of wear and tear on these, but again, these were free, so we didn't really mind at all. Because let me tell you, I'm not spending $800 on these 2 chairs alone. We're gonna make them work. Just trying some wood glue to kind of fill in some of these cracks to help, hopefully, for the future. We didn't know if it actually did anything, but I think that they look much better. This is a nice overlook of the mess I got myself into, but I'm really trying to stay organized, even though that was incredibly hard. This ended up being a traveling project where I brought it places with me because I was just trying to get it over with. Shockingly, I only made a few mistakes while putting these together, but this is me attempting to stay organized. I divided everything by piece and then tried to like use it as a collection table to start each cushion. We made it to the nitty-gritty of putting the actual cushions together. The first round of piping took so long that I don't even know the days in between me cutting everything and starting the actual sewing of the cushions. Not to discourage anybody, just get the piping made for you first and then it won't be as bad. But I'm trying to show you how much work goes into everything. This is where things got a little tricky for me. Clean finishing the binding around the cushion. I've made a couple quilts in my life. A couple meaning exactly 2. This was difficult for me, but you know, I eventually got better at it the more I did it. So this part was a 0 out of 10 for me, except for when it perfectly lined up, and then it was a great experience. So to each their own. This is a good look into my level of perfectionism. I'm just letting you know I was not gonna go back and fix that. We're done. That was good enough. Sometimes you just need to choose when to move on, okay? Plus when I put the cushion in, it probably wouldn't be that noticeable. So this is where I started layering everything. So remember how I said you were going to sew over the binding? This is what I meant. So I'm glad I just did the basting stitch. Otherwise, you're just wasting a whole bunch of thread. This one I did a 3.5 stitch length. I failed recording myself put the zippers in. This is just the prep that I did. I decided to fold back the seam allowance and iron it first to make it easier to insert the zipper. Zippers are finally getting easier for me, but they still kind of trip me up in the moment of them because they're confusing. So this is me acting like I'm putting the zipper in, but I'm really not. Also at this point, you would want to put the Velcro on. So initially I put the zipper on, and then separately I put the Velcro on. I put on the female side. I forget how they determine which side is what, but the non-pricky part. And then I don't know if I've mentioned this, but this also has like a little connecting flap, and you probably saw it in my sketch. On the connecting flap part, that's where I put the male side of the Velcro. Would you look at that? Look at that beautiful navy blue zipper. Honestly, she could be improved on, but no one needs to mention it. Thank you so much. And we're gonna be on the 88th day of sewing these fucking cushions. I should believe that. These cushions. Cushions. Okay, so basically I have to put the back on this one, and then I have to make 2 more. And I think now that I'm like in the groove of things, I feel like the last 2 will go faster. Watch me zoom, 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 and it'll look like I made all these cushions in 10 minutes when really I made them in 100 days. That's over exaggerating, but maybe like at least, let's say at least 2 months. At this point, I was so desperate to finish this project that I brought them on vacation with me. It was really a staycation, but I just needed a new setting to make this project more thrilling. The end is near, but not near enough. Earlier I told you that the piping was my arch nemesis, but now I'm rewatching this back, and actually it was these corners. These corners really gave me a hard time. I realized I did them very wrong, so please don't follow, but I just like made like a little pleat at the side. Not correct. Okay, before we make it to the finale, we originally had the foam from the original cushions, but then we tried washing them and that was not a good idea, so we had to order foam for these cushions. Unfortunately, I just got them off of Amazon. I did try looking at other places and I just couldn't find the right dimensions and sizes. I really do hate giving my money to Amazon, but every once in a while, I guess you're forced to. I had to get 2 different sizes, one that was 5 inches in height and the other one that was 4 inches in height.
Maybe.
This reminds me of that movie, Sugar and Spice. You know, like you look like, you're like, oh my god, I'm gardening, and then you're like, I have a blade. Anyway. I had to end up marking up the foam so that I can cut it into the exact size for each cushion.
Then I had to bring out the muscles, okay? And that means I had to bring out every cutting device that I had. This was hard. I tried to score it first with a box cutter. Then I tried this little attachment you could put onto a drill situation. Don't ask, I don't know the right proper words, okay?
Oh.
There is a proper tool for this, I just don't have it and I wasn't gonna invest the money in it. I think it's like a table saw. The handheld saw ended up working the best for me because it was able to like chop through like a little machete.
Ew.
But this definitely took some arm strength. When I tell you you need to keep organized, listen to me, because I cut the wrong size cushion out of one of the foams. Thankfully it was for the smaller cushion, but if I would have made the opposite mistake, I literally don't know what I would have done, and what I would have done I cannot say. I think I would have just thrown the cushions out at this point. That's how passionate I was about getting these over with. I did unfortunately rip one of them while we were trying to insert the foam, so I had to do a little outside repair. Emergency surgery.
Gorgeous. Numerous sewing locations, a little too many episodes of Traders, and about 3 months later, we have finished the cushions. Yay! In summation, would I do this again? Not for a long time, and definitely without piping. Do I like them? Sorta. I think that I rushed the fabric process a little too quickly, but it'll have to do. One thing I am appreciative of is please always think about your garment workers and sample makers, because this is what they're doing in factories. It's hard work, it's physical labor. And let me tell you, I got put to work with this piping. I won't let the piping go yet. If you're tired about hearing about the piping, I'm sorry, but I'm still mad about it. The best part, positive of this, I didn't have to buy cushions from a corporation. I don't know. I mean, obviously the second best is that you get to show them off because you made them yourself. And I do have a little backyard craft party happening in a couple of weeks, and I will definitely be showing off my cushions, especially because all these people have heard about them and that I'm making them. So if that one of those people is you, you get to see them again. Anyway, till next time, thanks for watching. Please enjoy my chair while I get up.
On today's episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Who made the fake accent?
On today's episode of Unsolved Mysteries.